The other week, I had my craziest win ever in a solo finals, and today I'm going to be letting you guys get inside my mind on how I got that win. Before we hop into it, I just want to let you guys know I released a new map called Cinematic 1v1s. This map's unique because you can have slow-mo after kills, you can have cinematics play after kills, and it makes the 1v1 experience a lot cooler. But without further ado, let's hop into it. It started out with me landing over here by the ice spot. It's important no matter where you land to know what makes your spot special. Every drop spot has its perks, and for this spot, that is good brick, good key spots, and slurp plants nearby. So I made sure to save my shields and get max brick before leaving. I typically try to avoid fighting in the early game just because it ends up wasting shields, wasting mats, and setting you behind on your loot route. You don't even get points for the kills, so I'm usually building off people off spawn and just trying to go by without fighting. If they push me, that's a different story. I have to fight in that case. But this off spawn, I avoided fighting. Early on in my looting, I try to check the map to see if the zone is pulling in a specific direction. You may think you can't tell where the zone's going to go based on this first zone, but based on this information, you can tell the zone is going to be pulling to the east side of the map, or at least that's what it looks like right now. So while I'm looting, I don't go west, I go east. The zone pulls determine which way I'm going to go to loot the rest of my spot. I end up rotating the creaky because I see nobody's really here, so I farm some quick metal from these fences. I only go until I get 300 metal and then I continue my loot route because I'm planning to get the cache, which will have 200 extra metal for me. No need to waste my time farming, I can get better positioning. Since I predict the zone is going to be pulling east, I just continue over in that direction. The further you get into the second zone, the better your chances are that you're going to pull a cache close to you. But this zone made a twist. 9 times out of 10 it pulls further east, but this time it pulled back to the center of the map, and that caused my cache to pull back on my loot route. Because I didn't have a rocket ram, I got beat to it. It was my last game, so I was like, bro, you know what? All or nothing. I'm going for this cache. And I completely did terrible in this fight. Like, I pushed up and had no awareness that above me was his builds. So I just dipped out of that fight right as it started. Because I didn't get the cache, I can focus on a few things. 1, trying to find a rocket ram because I'm gonna need that. And 2, getting metal. So I rotate up to Brutal, which is on the top side of zone, and there shouldn't be too many players over here. Most players at this point are near the center of the map. So I get my max metal, but I didn't find a rocket ram. At this point, my priorities are stay ahead on my rotates and look for fries along the way so that I can maybe get a kill that has a rocket ram. Sure enough, somebody came flying in, and it ended up just being a gift from the heavens because he kind of panicked. And just like that, I have all the loot I need for the end game. While rotating here, I see players off to the right and off to the left, but they're all elevated. So I just drop down into this little gap and keep on rotating. When I went down there, nobody had lines of sight on me anymore. That's stuff you should be looking for on your foot rotates. Line of sight breaks. Because I found that line of sight break, I was able to get pretty far into the zone. The next zone pulled even further, but I was able to just use the edge of this cliff as cover from the left. So nobody really had angles on me this whole rotate because of the concept line of sight. Eventually, I go back up to high ground to see what's going on up here, and there weren't too many people around me. But as I got towards the end of my rotate, I started building a bit more. It's okay to build. Any direction that I knew a player was on, I would just build wood walls. I even blocked off this bush just to be safe. And I did that until I got to the edge of zone. A lot of beginner players will just hope they don't get shot at, and that's how you lose a lot of shield and or get pushed and die. Or even lobby focused. The next zone pulled pretty close to me and somebody tried to instant rotate ahead of me. I shoot him so that he builds and kind of gets some cover built over there that maybe I could use later. But somebody starts spraying at my back on repeat. He's just brainlessly spraying at my wall. That's what most people would think. He was shooting at me to try to get me to go. He didn't care about fighting me or anything like that. He was saying go already so that we can get ahead on our rotate. Doesn't mean he's friendly though. I make sure to build off my back as I go forward. I couldn't tell what was going on in front of me, which is why I base up here and just kind of gather some information. I have plenty of time to make this rotate. No need to rush into unknown territory. The guy who was behind me on the rotate built up over top of me and rotated by. And thank God I waited because he ended up getting in a fight and one of them went down. I don't know who went down, but because they fought there, that was a free chance for me to sneak on by. I just built up over everything just in case somebody was hiding in a cone, and I go all the way over, slide down ramps on the other side, and I'm past all that congestion. Once I get in here, I just look back and try to hold people that are behind me. Sure enough, 2 players based right under me and I had a chance to go for an attack. But the other player backed me off pretty nicely here. I back up, heal, and this player ends up jumping up to my lair. I don't know what he was doing, but I hit him with a pre-fire, and as I went to push, he just backed up into old builds. It was a lost cause. You don't want to get tunnel vision on stuff like this on back edge of zone. Look at that zone, it's pulling so far. But I do wait for everyone around me to rocket and then drop down for that extra loot. I end up getting 400 extra wood from that, so it was definitely worth. Then I just build a ramp in front of me and start my rocket. I make sure to go to the left side of zone because there's not a lot of players over here. How did I know there wouldn't be players over here? If you look back to this earlier zone, that whole side of the map was in the storm, meaning nobody's over there, except for maybe 1 or 2 other players that have smart rotates. All I gotta do is build those players off with this wood that I got off that body, and I managed to get all the way into the zone without getting shot. So that's how I got to the moving zone stacked. Now it's time to clutch up in the high intense situations. First moving pulled to me and there wasn't much to do. I was just looking for free kills behind me, but nothing came up. So I do the rocket ram trick that, if you don't know, everyone needs to know this trick. You reset the cone so that you'll be phasing it. You just have to stand in the perfect location. And then you use the rocket ram, and then after you use the rocket ram, you crouch into the cone. By doing this, you'll have cover while rocket ramming. While rotating this first moving zone, I get into this guy's box while he's distracted. I managed to get a super quick kill and immediately broke out of my box so that I had room to move. Good thing I did that because I got instantly pushed by another player. I didn't get hit while killing that first player, which is why I'd made this edit on the opponent, trying to back him off the loot so I can have it all to myself. Sure enough, it worked and I had plenty of time to loot this body, but that's when somebody just spawns in my box. It was a really close call because he just teleported through everything, but I managed to take him out. Now I have an insane amount of mats and I do not need to skimp out this endgame, meaning I can build a lot on these next rotates and maybe even go for high ground. When you get a big refresh, you need to have that thought in your mind. Maybe I should go for high ground. I play the storm for a bit so that I can get super healthy and then rocket ram to the zone. When I'm playing storm like this, I just rocket ram. I don't worry about doing the cone strat. I also rocket ram super low so that I won't get shot by high ground if there is a high ground. The only time you want to rocket straight up is if there's like at least 5 other rocket rams going off at the same time. When I land, I just hold my walls for a little bit just in case somebody else is rocket ramming in. Good thing I did because all my walls were breaking. But once I get off that front edge of zone and I'm more towards the back edge, that's when I heal up and start to think about where to go next. I start looking at high ground and see nobody is up there, but I go up slowly and cautiously here because someone built up over my head. The plan here is just sneak through his builds and maybe get a pump on him, but he ends up boxing up and not claiming height. This is where my awareness kind of lacked because I thought I had high ground at this point. Somebody else was up there. Like, what the heck? I literally just looked and no one was there. But I have a lot of mats, so I just drop down, tarp the zone, and get healthy. I can start looking at height again in a little bit, but I want to make sure I'm healthy when I do that. The zone pulls back through my build, so I just take my time here and I'm playing my space. I don't sit at the front of my box though, because the front is usually where people land with their rocket rams. Good thing I didn't stay front, otherwise I would've got smacked out of this world. But throughout this rotate, I'm kind of just staying on the back edge of zone. The reason I was doing this is I was waiting for an opportunity to take height. Sure enough, height was fighting, they ended up getting chopped out, and I was able to surprise attack, and I killed the guy on high ground so quick. Looking back, I literally didn't grab any of the mats, which was a mistake, but I ended up claiming the high ground anyway. From here, I get healthy while pressuring second height so that he ends up dropping. For the rest of this endgame, I'm just spraying at the guy on second height. Everyone else is going through the building in slappy, so I make a play on this guy. I whiff my shot pretty bad here, but I end up getting the kill, get back on high ground, and it's a 1v1 situation, and if you saw the video on the main channel, you know what happens next. Oh my god! I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out the new cinematic 1v1 map. This map is crazy. More content on the way, so stay tuned and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.